Welcome to Forever Bristol City podcast, the Sheffield United away, the verdict. Got a little bit of feedback there. I don't know what's causing that. But let's carry on. I'm just going to change the mic while we're here. Anyway, let's get more back to the detail. Final score at Bramall Lane. It finished Sheffield United 1, Bristol City 1. An unexpected but thoroughly deserved point. I'm joined by my Labrador and Tom Sutton. Dave Tovey over in Spain, who's got a very big game to look forward to tonight. And Mark Tovey in Downend, who's going to be cleaning all those shoes that he has behind him. It's that time of the month, as they say. Guys, as we normally do, your quick thoughts on the game. Before I do that, the text feed that comes out on this, some people are just getting a little bit silly with their comments, personal insults aimed at one another, not at us as such. Bad language, cut it out. Kids read this. We don't need it. If it happens again, you'll get blocked. And if it persists, we just won't do the text overlay on there. Okay, so message out of the way. We're in a cup, very much half full mode this morning. Dave Tovey, your thoughts at 10 o'clock. It was a late one.
How 2 draws in a week can have two very, very different feelings. It was a very enjoyable game. There was lots of positive build-up with a confident energy about the whole side. There's a discussion to be had about how many chances we really create in the game. But for me, what was really important is even after conceding, we kept going and probing and going and probing. And at the end of it, we saw a little bit of chaos that you need in attacking, and we got an equaliser that we absolutely deserved.
Okay, Mark, your thoughts at the final whistle.
City more than matched the team, promotion bound, who spent millions in the transfer market. Well, we're shopping in Aldi. Williams was absolutely outstanding, deserved man of the match. Our possession-based game was great. The players looked confident. There's a real togetherness. The only disappointment was that we didn't win the game that we deserved to. But on to Norwich, and we can go 5th if we win.
Yeah, 5th overnight if we win. Tom, your thoughts? I mean, it's been a good week, really. I mean, you know, if you'd have said sort of 5 points from 2 tough away games and Hull, we sort of, as we typically do. But what were your thoughts on the final whistle last night?
That was man and ball done well. I felt like we built on the Hull performance, because I didn't think we played dissimilar to how we did at Hull, but we did it more effectively, and we did that by the one-touch passing. We looked like we were better drilled within patterns of play. And I thought we were effective in how we played, particularly offensively, and controlled the game, particularly midfield, which is a common theme now, is controlling games in midfield, against a team that surely is going to be up there or automatically promoted this year.
Well, they're going to be up there. I mean, I have to say, looking at the 2 games against Sheffield United at Ashton Gate and last night, I'd fancy us against them more so than if Leeds drop out, highly unlikely, or boring Burnley, but there we go. And the thing is, Blades have gone into this game winning 6 out of the previous 7. That defeat was coming. Only defeat they had was against Leeds. So it is really a tremendous. Result. Dave, the starting lineup: 3 changes. Out went Pring, Mehmeti, and Sykes. In came Williams, Roberts, and you. Did that surprise you, or did we expect changes?
Well, I think you would hope there'd be some changes with the games coming up, and that's what the squad is for. It took me a bit of time to figure out exactly what the setup was going to be. I'm not sure anybody could say it with great confidence prior to actually seeing how it was. Once we saw it, you could almost call it the baller setup with Knight, Williams, Twine, and Bird basically occupying the middle and looking to create, a lot of quick, sharp passing between them, with you essentially being the outlet out wide, using Armstrong's pace up front. I think it was a pretty good setup, to be honest. Roberts, there's a discussion, but that's for later.
Yeah, Mark, your thoughts on the team? Our team.
Yeah, I think the team needed refreshing after Saturday. So I think that was a good move by Manning. Good switches of play to get you in on the right. And he was a constant pest, moving inside and outside to give us options. And Joe Williams controlling midfield. I think the only problem is with you is it was very, very evident, a left-footed striker on the right where he was cutting back in sometimes, but he was a constant threat in the first half, which led to our best chance that we'll come on to. So yeah, good.
Do you mean you? Because you didn't come on till the second half. Oh, you did? Sorry, you started. I was looking at my notes there. Yeah, you are right, Mark. You are. Tom, Mark's alluded to Williams having a good game, which he did. If he keeps a level head on him, he is a good player. Sheffield United, just listening to some of their fans' comments on the forum, there's a feeling that they were thinking more ahead for the Steel City derby against Wednesday at the weekend. And, you know, when we had that dominant first half, as Dave said, we were knocking the ball around, well-drilled passing. The fans were almost getting on their backs a little bit, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, there's an expectation after Leeds dropping points that they would really push in this game, because this was the game to create a bit of a divide, put pressure on Leeds. Yeah, maybe they undersold ourselves a little bit. Maybe they thought that they would have the easy beating of us a little bit. But the quality in their squad was still more than enough. And I mean, that's the level of investment they get. But I think it was crucial they're missing Sousa and not starting Hamer in midfield, because that allowed us to gain some control, particularly first half. And when you've got the control, you can keep that forward momentum going. And it wasn't until the second half where their goal comes from Hamer doing what he does. And also, you know, Rob
Brewster cost them a few bob as well, didn't it?
Well, Brewster cost them about 20 million, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
There's something daft like that.
How much did Tyrese Campbell cost? Because
it was a free transfer.
Free transfer.
It was a free transfer.
I mean, you compare Tyrese Campbell to Sinclair Armstrong or Fally Mayulu.
And
he scored against us at Stoke in the last game of last season in that 4-0 drubbing. I think he scored 3 and 3 now for them, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he scored against Preston at the weekend. But he's a fantastic. I love watching Tyrese Campbell. I love Brereton Diaz as well. He didn't have a great game yesterday, but he was more forced into a wide position. But they've got real quality, particularly in attack. And I was surprised they didn't start one of Hamer or Sousa. You'd think they would start one. It's like us missing Knight and Bird. It never really happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, you've got to beat what's in front of you, and we didn't beat them, but we more than matched them.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Dave, we started a little bit slow, and people were talking at the weekend against Hull about Zach Viner's distribution, playing on the unfamiliar left side. He put us under unnecessary pressure early on. One of the few mistakes, in fact, probably the only mistake he made in the game, when it was a sloppy pass out of defence, wasn't it? And that was sort of rare.
I think you're on about it's sloppy, but it's because he makes the wrong choice. And you can forgive a lot when a player is trying to deliver something which is going to lead to an attacking opportunity. Realistically speaking, I don't know why he went along the ground. He should have gone over the top. But the point is that he made that mistake trying to make something happen, not necessarily because it was just a sloppy pass. And sometimes you can forgive it, but you do need to do better. I felt there were a couple of them earlier on. You had a slip from you had the giveaway there, and they could have cost us. But at the same time, those types of things have come from us trying to play out from the back. And you can't have it both ways. You can't compliment the build-up and then criticize when it goes wrong occasionally.
Yeah, which you did then. Tom.
I think for me, that pass comes from having a right-footed player at left centre-back, because you can only then play it to the attacker's strong side. You can't play it down the line unless you use left foot and you curve it almost touchline inwards. You're having to go inwards, outwards, which means that you bring possibly the centre-back into play as well as the midfielder, rather than taking both out with an outside pass.
The issue was along the floor, he should have gone over the top.
Yeah, it's a difficult technique though, getting it over, because where he is and on the pitch, it's quite hard, because if you go over the top, it's likely to skid out for a throw-in. So it's difficult, because if Viner is strong on his left foot, maybe he feels confident to curl it the other side round using his left, but he has to go, because he's so right-footed, Viner. He has to go through the way that it's easy to intercept. You bring two players into play doing that.
But it didn't make much difference. Mark, Hayden Roberts has got his critics, but he had miles of space on the left in the first half when we were particularly dominant. Pring's not capable of doing 90 minutes at the moment. Did that make sense, starting Roberts on that side? And should he have made more of the space that he had?
I think he's looked quite lightweight positionally in defence when he canters back, especially against Plymouth and in other games. I think he's a much better left centre back than is a left wing back. But yeah, when we sucked Sheffield United into the middle and switched the play, he did have acres of space. What he didn't do was take the ball down the line, attack the fullback, and try and cross the ball. But I think, as we'll see, crosses on high crosses don't work for City because there's no physicality in the centre of the area. They have to hit the ball low. So perhaps they want the runners there to hit across the near post or back. But he was chopping back inside too much, and it does slow the play down. And that was evident quite a lot in the first half of the first quarter of the game.
I think
doesn't have the confidence to attack the fullback and just chops back inside too much. But he had so much space.
He doesn't have that burst of speed.
No, he doesn't have the speed of Pring.
Yeah,
but he can cross. I think he can be a better crosser, of the ball. We just don't see him do it enough. And when we do cross the ball from either side, we don't vary them. It's dinked high balls or ballooned high balls. There's not there's not a lot of intelligence in our play in terms of hitting the ball to a runner. That's the problem.
I think with Roberts, it was one of his better performances for me offensively. Defensively, I still, like Mark said there, I don't think he's left wing back. He's not got the pace of Campering, the recovery pace, and the Viner misplaced pass. Watching Hayden Roberts run, it's like this casual, languid style. There's not the intensity and this burst.
Yeah,
and I remember when we were at Wolves at home in the cup, and he gave it away twice, doing silly, and then it's like he's jogging back. And I wonder whether that jog is him sprinting, but it doesn't look like he is. But at least with Hayden Roberts, what I saw yesterday was more ball retention. He didn't lose it as much as he normally does, and there wasn't a casual, I'm going to stop the ball, I'm going to look up, I'm going to have a few more touches. It was a bit more impetus within his passing. And I think that was across the whole team. I think Williams brings that as well. He demands 1-2 touch in midfield. He moved it quicker yesterday, particularly in the first half. And that was
they did the passing. We've all said it already. We've only been chatting for 10 minutes, but some of that passing in the first half, it looked training ground stuff, but well drilled, well executed.
One of the keys to it yesterday is because in principle you would have like Twine towards the left and Roberts to the left, and you're thinking, where's the pace? But what was happening is because they were moving the ball so quickly and a lot of the work was taking place on the right, they were able to switch it. And I don't think it was necessarily a case of Roberts played poorly. I just think it was a case of, in order for him to do what we need there, you're asking him to do something that he can't do. There were a number of times where he's essentially one-on-one with their fullback, and you're thinking, drive at him. And instead, he puts on either a cross from too wide or then comes back inside, and the moment is lost. Yeah. But at the same time, do you see Roberts driving at someone? I'm not sure you do. So unfortunately, I think it's just a case of we needed something from him that he can't actually deliver at this moment.
Mark, although we were dominant, and I think it was 70% possession on about the halfway mark, Sheffield, obviously the home side, the initiative is on them to attack. And Max did well to save, and Tanner did well to rob Rick Saki. Take us through those incidents if you recall them. I mean, it was a floppy-handed save from Max, wasn't it? But it was enough.
Yeah, Saki got down the side. He's on loan from Crystal Palace at the moment. For the season, if anybody wondered where he came from. And Sariki were linking up well, and he got a shot at an acute angle and then hit the resultant one into the ground, and it was blocked and cleared away. The second one, Sariki got an in. We played through the middle through Gus Hamer, and he was about to shoot Raksaki, but his first touch was slightly poor, allowing Tanner to get a last-ditch tackle in. Otherwise, we would have been 1-0 down. But a great clearance from Tanner. Just a slightly bad touch from Raksaki. Otherwise, he would have finished off a great move through the middle at pace with Callum O'Hare. Callum O'Hare side-footed pass. Just a good forward pass. That's what Sheffield United were looking to do. When they win the ball high up, they're always looking to make that forward pass, and they always have runners in the box. That's what we were dealing with at the end of the first half last night.
Yeah. I mean, let's come on to our best chance of the half, and I come to Tom first, then you, Dave. Somebody sent me a text during the game. He said, "Your big man up front, he doesn't offer options at all." And there was one bit where you was breaking down the right. He had 4 players closing in on him, and Sinclair in the middle. He wasn't making any movement at all. He could have made a run that would have occupied them. I know that you was right over the near side on the camera side. and then the miss. I mean, Williams was the cross, wasn't it? But a lovely little back heel by you. I mean, talk about Armstrong last night and that miss, or was it a tremendous save by Cooper?
Terrible miss. Terrible. I mean, that's just attacking intelligence. That, you know, as a striker, you've got to, as you see it come across and you're unmarked. It reminded me of the Swansea one away, where he's at the back post and he just doesn't get his angles right again. No. And it's like, you have to head that into the roof of the net, or you generate a level of power. What you don't do is when you see Cooper coming across, his momentum is going to take him towards the ground, because you're leaning as you're coming across. And it's just a bit of intelligence there that you've got to just head upwards. You just got to...
If he'd have done a typical misdirected header, it probably would have gone in.
The ones at Hull would have gone in. I mean, but there was one at Hull where there was a difficult one where I think we broke from the corner, and all he's got to do, Sinclair, is run line. He's got a channel run, and he goes through the middle. And you're just like, a bit of intelligence here, Sinclair. But, you know, if you have Naki in that position, it's a goal. And that's the frustrating thing, because Sinclair, what he offers physically, Naki can't do. No. But it's that, if we're going to do these balls across the box on the floor, which I don't fall out with, because, you know, it's an effective way of getting goals, you've got to start Naki Wells. You've got to start Naki Wells.
He's been injured, so that's not the excuse, that's the reason. Dave, Sinclair Armstrong, the miss, was it a goalkeeper doing his job? Was it a great save? What's your
First
take
of all, we know what we're going to get at the moment, because I think Armstrong in general is playing very, very, very well, doing a lot of things that contribute to allowing us to perform, because he makes the pitch bigger. And the reason that our passes were so effective is because he was asking the right questions in terms of occupying their defense. So he deserves a bit of credit for that. The worst part about the miss element of that is that header wasn't a miss header. It wasn't him not making the right contact. He did exactly what he intended to do. And as a striker, it's the wrong choice. You've got to go into the ground and up, you know? And for me, it's a poor header, but it's a striker's choice header, and he made the contact that he wanted. Having said that, it's still an incredible save. He's only able to save it because of where Armstrong puts it, but it's still a fantastic save.
Yeah. Mark, what was your take on that?
I think he's worried about missing the goal. So he does a safe header instead of what he should do, and just pushing it into the roof of the net where Cooper can't get it. He's in an acute angle, but he's got enough of the goal, but he just needs to push it up. And he's so worried about missing it that moment that he heads it towards the goal and directs it down, the only place that Cooper can save it. So looks a great save from Cooper, but he wouldn't have got anywhere near it if he'd have pushed it up into the corner.
The one defense of Armstrong is that he is actually wider than you think on first look. It's not like he's in between the posts. He's actually wider, and it's not like oh my God, how have you missed that? But as a striker, you should be doing better than that at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's got into his head. I'm seeing there Armstrong has scored a few goals. In the moment, he misses. That's it.
If there's a defender marking Armstrong, you can forgive Armstrong for missing the header there and just getting it on target. If he's got Robinson grabbing him or blocking him, but it's the fact that he's seen the ball. It's a great ball by Williams. I mean, yeah, what a ball. And Williams is good at those, like little crosses to the back post, particularly first time. He is some player at them, but he takes all the pace off the ball. All Armstrong has to do, he's got about 2-3 seconds to adjust himself, set himself, sees where the keeper is. And it's just like Dave says, he makes the wrong choice of header. He cushions it down to keep Cooper. And it is a good save, don't get me wrong, because Cooper didn't give up on it. There was this willingness and this determination from Cooper to save it and to keep it out. But as Armstrong's just an awful choice of header. And
Dave, we almost paid for it because, again, before the break, O'Hare set up Campbell, and that was the second good save from Max, wasn't it, on 35 minutes?
I mean, in a way, that's what Sheffield United were trying to do. They were trying to play through us quickly, and in that particular case, Dickey kind of got drawn out of the defence, and they exploited the gap straight away. And I'm guessing, probably the striker maybe gave Max the eyes and went in the other corner, but it was a very good save. It was down low to his left. It was on target. And you see those creep in. If a keeper is trying to jump the other way or makes an error, that one's a goal. But it's a very, very good save.
Yeah. Mark Campbell, I'm trying to look him up. There's 2 Tyrese Campbells, isn't there, playing, or is there just the one? I mean, he got the goal, which we come on to later. Here we go. 25. That's right. I've got the right one this time. The Stoke player. Why wasn't a player like him on our radar last summer, or was it that Sheffield were?
I would imagine that he had far better options. Their wages offer would be higher. Signing on fees. So he may have been. He may not have been. It just comes down to wages, and Sheffield United. Parachute payments, yo-yo club, ready to go back up. It would be far more inviting. I think he's Kevin Campbell's son, isn't he, Tyrese? Is that right?
Yeah,
great Kevin Campbell of Arsenal and Everton. Better options than City, and that's the world that we're in at the moment. Unfortunately, we're competing with the likes of Sheffield United, who had a 10 million player who didn't even make the bench last night in Tom Cannon. Didn't know if he's injured.
I think he's injured again. I was looking on the Sheffield United forum, Mark, and they had 11 what you would call loosely first team squad players in various stages of injury and what have you. Okay, so halftime comes and we're thinking, oh my God, we're going to rue that miss by Sinclair. And then the start of the second half, we see an untimed substitution. Tom, what do we know? Bird for Sykes. Was that tactical, or is Bird?
I imagine that was almost a planned one. I think he's managing Bird's minutes as well.
Yeah.
I don't think it was an injury. Was it tactical potentially? Did he want Sykes on Maybury for his more direct approach than you to get their fullback? Because there was space, and when we were high and wide, that's when we looked our most dangerous with the short exchanges in the first half. With Bird, what you get is an ability to create something from nothing that I don't think other players in the squad do. But was it an open game like that? I don't know if it was, because what Sheffield United do well defensively is they block out the box very well and they force you wide, they force you round them. So I thought actually it was quite an acute tactical substitution.
You thought it was tactical? We've not heard anything to the contrary.
I thought it was tactical.
Dave, was that definitely tactical in your view? And were you worried that Bird and Knight, who'd done so well in midfield with Williams, was that sort of a strange substitution in your mind?
I assumed it was an injury, because at that moment to me the sub didn't make more sense. I wasn't really sure what you would see to say, what we need to make a change to how we're playing here, because I thought we were so in control and we looked so much the better side. It's almost an argument of more of the same, please, unless you're literally like blowing and you've really got nothing else to give because of so many games. I would have been just keep going at this, guys, keep going at this. Now, leading into the half, once Sheffield United make their subs, then there is a momentum change, and then there is discussion for changing things up. But at half time, I didn't really get the decision, to be honest.
Mark, what were your thoughts?
I think it may have been a slight knock, because the Bird was looking very comfortable in midfield.
Hope so.
Controlling it with Joe Williams, giving us great options, switching the play. But then I think it was a bit of serendipity, if it was, because Sykes gives us better options going forward. He's always looking to get wide, attack the box, and he's probably the best crosser in the club.
Yeah. I've got to get back to this Campbell thing here and better terms, because one of the people on here, Boyle, we could have got Campbell on a free from Stoke, but we got goal machine Sinclair. Now, we've already said that Sheffield can offer big wages, right? He was free, Campbell. So if we paid £1.5 million for Sinclair Armstrong, never mind his wages.
Probably a bit more.
Well, all right, £2 million. Call it two. No, let's call it 1.8 million for Sinclair Armstrong over 3 years.
4 years. He's on a 4-year deal.
It was okay, but the sum paid was let's call it 1.8. Yeah. If you said we could have got Tyrese Campbell on a 3-year deal, and 600 grand a year is what's that? That's 20 grand. We bust the wage structure. Now you play, Tom. Okay, you're still at a relatively young age, but my view is that if somebody is that good, they got to be paid the money to get them in. And would you be upset if somebody came in earning 10 grand a week more than you? And they delivered.
Well, if they deliver, there's an argument, but then you'd have to say, right, okay, so let's say Tyrese Campbell went out of form for us, and you had players like Scott Twine stepping up. When you get into the contract negotiations, then agents will know what other players are on. They go to the club, right, okay, I know Tyrese is on this, because he would be probably, I reckon Campbell's probably on minimum 30 at Sheffield a week.
All right.
Let's say we put him on 25.
Yeah,
which would make him our top earner.
And you can give him bonus payments,
certain bonuses. Yeah,
yeah. And that's another way to mitigate playing a ridiculously high wage.
Yeah, and you know, it's the thing is the of these clubs is they can pay more because we have a strict wage cap that we put on ourselves almost after the whole Mark Ashton fiasco, where we had no resale value in these players because no one would take them on with their wages. And you know what. You look at it, you've got Sheffield United coming in for you for 30,000 or Bristol City for 20,000.
Right. Yeah, fair enough. And it's up north. I mean, we could go on about that for ages. I don't know whether you want to add anything there, Dave.
The other thing that I just spotted, I think somebody spotted on the text as well, he's never been a prolific goal scorer, so he still could have been taking a chance. Scored 9 goals this season, 4 last season, and 9 the season before that. So hardly prolific, 25 years old, still got potential, got plenty of pace, but it still would have been taking a chance to some extent. But their wages and sign-on fee would have been far better than ours, and the opportunity far better than ours. So it's a dead duck, really.
All right, Dave, your thoughts on this, just to end it, and we draw a line under it.
It's like it's been pointed out. We're kind of speaking a bit here based on a performance and a bit of hindsight. I don't necessarily think in the summer anybody was necessarily saying him, and he looked very, very good yesterday. But you know, sometimes that happens. I wouldn't necessarily say.
He scored against the last game of the season. He scored again, and as you say, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Sticking with you, Dave. Let's get into the second half. I've got here on the notes 47. Campbell just wide. Raksaki and O'Hare combined. Well, they made the substitution. Sorry, a few minutes after that, Raksaki and Hamer going off. Raksaki and O'Hare going off. Hamer and Brewster coming on. In 56 minute, Campbell to Brewster. Good saving tackle there by Viner. The pressure was mounting, wasn't it, Dave? And then it culminated in the goal. Take us through that building of the pressure.
We actually started. We started reasonably bright in the second half. We started on dare I say, the front foot. You know, we were going at them again. We had probably the best move of the match in terms of Roberts into you with the Twine strike, which was just wide.
Yes,
I thought it was. I thought it was a very good move. And then they made their subs, and the momentum changed. And just like the Swansea game, you're thinking, right, just see this period out. And too often we are in control of games, and just as the other team get their moment, we can see the goal. Now, maybe we could have adapted, but I actually think that we tried to sit of a deeper 5 in the back, and we did try to sit on something. But what you saw is the difference. Too often, for all our build-up play, we don't sense a moment of go for the kill, or we don't quite have the players in the right position. They were making these overloads, a simple ball through to their player that was just off the defence, flicks it round and in. They understood the moment. We've created an imbalance, bang. It looks so easy, but it's about understanding the moment. And it's really frustrating because in a game context, it was not deserved. But unfortunately, we just don't see out moments when the other team is on top.
Mark, Hamer made that difference. Dave alluded to Twine having, that's not a miss by Twine. That's an expertly executed shot. But Hamer and Brewster combining, I mean, it was slick, wasn't it? I mean, that's the sort of finish that shows why they are near the top.
Top. And prior to that, there had been 5 minutes of Sheffield United possession. I think just before that, the other thing that we missed out was Sykes' near post header when he was free, and he headed the ball down and well wide. But the ball comes off the left from Harrison Burrows, and it's a really dead part of the game. Hamer's just over the halfway line. He sees an opportunity. Viner is left too much space for Rhian Brewster, and he touches it into Tyrese Campbell. And Rob Dickey isn't close enough to Tyrese Campbell, so there's space between them. And Dickey's afraid to tackle in case he's the last man. He's going through, and then once he's goal-sided, Dickey, he shapes round with his left foot, and it's a really good finish. to Max O'Leary's right, just inside the post. But it's the movement. But really, it's a goal City shouldn't conceded. It's bad positional play by Viner and Dickey, and the alertness and vision of Gustavo Harmer to set it up. But it's about movement, and that's what they didn't have, because prior to that, really, it was in front of City. They were blocking tackles. But it shows you with Sheffield United and our goal what movement can do, and a bit of vision from a midfielder.
I think Mark has summed it up perfectly there with movement, because 2 or 3 times they're moving the midfield around, creating those overloads, and as soon as they create that little bit of separation of space in front of the back 2 centre backs, bang, the ball's played in there, and by that moment there's nothing you can do. And it's about sensing that moment, because for all of our ball retention, for all of our positive intent, we didn't do that once yesterday, and that's the difference in quality level, and about sensing when you have the opportunity, take it, and don't try to beat the team twice. And that was my only criticism of yesterday, was that too often we've got into a position and then focused on retention rather than going for the kill. And in their one moment of quality in that little phase, they scored.
Yep. Tom,
I thought it was
badly defended or good goal?
I thought it was a very interesting goal to concede. I watched it and I thought, I went back and watched about 4 or 5 times, because it's fantastic from Sheffield United, offensive intelligence. But there's a couple of issues with City. I love him, but Jason Knight, he gets caught ball watching, attracted towards the ball. And actually, you see Tanner trying to so Knight jumps too high, and then you've got reluctance to jump from Viner and Dickey. So one of the two has to squeeze up onto Brewster. So you've got, that's on Viner's side. Viner's got to get touch tight on Brewster. Doesn't do that because he's worried about the spacing behind him and Campbell's movement. So then you go, right, okay, I wonder whether Hayden Roberts can shuffle back in 2 steps to the right and cover that off. But what you get is you get the Sheffield United players standing 2 foot off the centre-back into a position where there's not actually a striker. You've almost got a false 10. And you're like, right, I don't want to jump here because there's going to be so much space behind me. So what do I do? And yet caught in 2 minds. And the whole defence, the back line, Viner and Dickey, it's not communicating. And both of them don't jump until it's too late. And then they're reactive. And then you're on the back foot because these players have got more than enough quality to exploit that. So as soon as Viner doesn't make up his mind, ball comes into Brewster, it's 1 touch, bang, it's off. And it's a great finish from Campbell, because what Dickey doesn't have is the acceleration.
When you see it with Dickey running away from the camera, I'm thinking, come on, man, show a bit of pace. Right. But he's lumbering. He's lumbering.
He is lumbering. It's not like a McNally where it's the bang and he's there. I wonder with the McNally whether he's got the initial aggression. I think if McNally's in the team there, we don't concede that because he's aggressive with what he does.
Good point. Dave, do you agree with that? McNally, that goal doesn't get conceded?
I think the damage is already done before it reaches that point. Maybe with a quicker defender, something could be done. But and what Tom's pointed out there is that essentially from quick, rapid movement, a few of our players have made errors. And then from there, you have a defensive imbalance. And I actually think it's a very, very good goal because they've taken advantage of that imbalance, because one thing leads to another, which leads to another. And you've got defenders that have to make a split second decision, because you can imagine they want to stay in line with each other, not creating another angle. But Sheffield United have created a moment and sensed a moment, and I think it comes from rapid ball movement. And at the end of the day, if we'd have scored a goal like that, we'd be saying, "Wow, what a fantastic ball move!" And sometimes you have to give credit to the opposition.
You've got to be brave.
And we can't. We are sorry, we are capable of doing goals like that because if you go right back to the start of the season and you look at the game against Millwall, I know Fally was on the end of it, but one of the goals there, flowing move. Look at the goal at Preston. So we do it. We don't do it enough. And then how many times have we done it but not had the striker on the end of it who's capable of producing the killer finish?
I think you've got to be brave when defending that goal. Though you need to be. You need to sense that there's a momentum for Sheffield United, and whether you do something to break up that momentum, even if you give a foul away, even if Viner goes through the back of Brewster and then you give the foul away, and yes, it's a poor area to give a foul away, but you've got to sense danger. And I know that they sense danger because there's a reluctance to push onto them, which means they've identified their issues and they've seen that the whole midfield's been taken out of the game. Twine's been taken out of the game because all 3 of them, Knight, Williams and Twine, run towards Hamer with the ball.
Yeah.
So you've got no midfield, and then someone's just got to be brave, whether you take the foul or you get touch tight and you stop it. But like Dave says, it's a fantastic goal. And I loved watching that goal because it's a clinical finish, a real composed finish, and fantastic from Brewster and Hamer as well.
Okay, Mark, the 60-minute substitution was sort of delayed a little bit, or did it come before we kicked off after the goal? And then we saw Armstrong, Twine and New going off, Wells, Earthy and Mehmeti coming on. It was like for like again, wasn't it, Mark? But well timed.
Yeah, and I think it swung the game back in our favour. And where we thought, I thought after the introduction of Harmer and the move for that goal, that Sheffield United would go on and win the game. But they really lacked a lot of energy in that game. It was almost like they were conserving everything. They were a bit one-paced. They did have quality up front, and some like Veriton Diaz, who's went to play in Spain with Villarreal before he went to Southampton, more than enough to go on and win that game with their bench. But it swung back in City's favour. The substitutions really helped, and from then on, really we played comfortable possession, but we were probing.
Dave, the subs, the well-timed, typical timing, and the right ones.
Well, to be honest, I felt as though when I was watching the game, I was thinking, okay, Manning sub 60 minutes. Maybe there was an argument to actually do them earlier when the momentum had changed in the game, and just try to break it up. Even if you do one sub, then another sub. Maybe there's an argument that could have been done to put a stop to that momentum, because Sheffield United did have it in that moment. But in terms of reaction subs, there's no complaints really. I felt Armstrong had gone into his shell a little bit after the miss, which is my concern going forward. That kind of miss after such a positive run of games may really damage his confidence. And Mehmeti for Twine, Earthy for Hirakawa. Can't really argue with those subs, because at the end of the day, you've had a game and you need to make changes, a fresh impetus. And to be fair, they were effective in that respect.
Yeah. Tom, the final substitution we made came on the 79th minute, wasn't it? Campring coming on for Hayden Roberts. Could it have been done where they did a quad sub, done it 15 minutes earlier? Or
yeah, I mean, I wonder again how much of that is managing Cam's minutes back from injury.
Yeah,
I think was it a hamstring he had?
Might have been. Don't know.
I think it might have been a hamstring, and those are really tough. If it was a hamstring to come back from, because I've seen it when I played a lot. People come back from hamstring injuries, and it's great, and then you do a sprint and you've overloaded or you've overtrained, and there you go, it goes again. That's 3 months, 4 months, season over. So it's a difficult one, because you might feel better than it actually turns out to be. But I think when Campring comes on, what he does give you is a pace and a bit of drive
and aggression,
a bit of aggression as well. He leads the press well, and I like how aggressive he is in the tackle. Potentially a penalty at the end because he's.
Oh, we come on to the last few moments in a moment.
But there's a balance with Campring, and for me, he's top 3 most important players when he plays for us.
Yeah. Dave, the clock's ticking down, and you're sitting there thinking, we've lost this 1-0. If only Sinclair Armstrong had scored, at least we'd have been pegged back. But we were plugging away, as Tom said earlier, Manning ball. Sometimes it's not pretty to watch, but there was the method there. Believe in the process. I was saying that in my head, saying disappointment. But, we know Sinclair will come good next season, but it's this season. It's in the here and now. And the goal, Dave, on 90 minutes, 89 minutes, 45 seconds to be precise for a certain. Is that your dad that put that post on OT?
He did say that we don't score within.
Dad of Tom said we've never scored an injury.
He got that wrong.
He got it wrong, did he?
He scored Nakiwell's penalty last season to Huddersfield, 90+11. We had a terrible handball.
There you go.
To win it, didn't he say to win a game?
He said to win it.
Either way. Anyway, Dave, a goal of quality.
There's a couple of things to point out. First of all, Williams' role in the goal. Not for the first time. He picked up a second ball. There's a challenge to be won. He retains possession. He was like that all day, intercepting, picking up the ball, laying it off, making us play quickly. For me, he was a fantastic performance, and it was no surprise that our goal starts there. Now, for the role of Sykes, 30 seconds before, he's running down the wing, playing the role as a wing back. And then he does something in football which teams don't know how to react to. He creates chaos. Instinctively, he decides to take up a centre forwards position. And there were 2 or 3 opportunities before the actual ball where he's looking for that run. Earthy gets the pass, passes it in, and Sykes is there. And the defence doesn't know what to do because they're not used to one of our players that isn't the centre forward being in that position. And Sykes is a fantastic finish, doing what you know that he can do with the ball. But Earthy's pass enables him to be able to get that power because it's a bouncing pass and not a flat pass. But it comes
from 1-2. Williams and Earthy played a 1-2 with Williams, or Williams played a 1-2 with Earthy, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And that was it. Mark, Dave's made a good point there about Sykes causing chaos, and we have people saying in the club, "Oh, Sam Bell could play. He's essentially a winger. Sam Bell could play in the middle." What about Sykes playing in the middle? But talk about the goal first, and is that a harebrained idea by itself, Mark?
There's a bit of pressure from City. I think there's a header out from Sheffield United, and Tanner plays it back, goes back to Earthy. So he's coming in off the right-hand side of the pitch, plays it to Williams, and he runs into the area. And Earthy's movement's brilliant. He just flicks the ball round the corner, and Sykes is on the he's actually in an offside position, comes back to an onside position and holds his run. So he's with the defender, and he just clips it round the keeper at the near post, into the far post, into the side netting. It's a fantastic finish, but it's all about the pass and the move. Williams and Earthy opening up the defence. That's our best way of scoring goals. We don't have the physicality to play high balls into the middle. We need to play the ball on the ground, and we need runners. That's the way that we're going to go on and challenge this season. If we score more goals like that, I think that's the only way we can score goals, unless we get a chance to open up on the edge of the area from Scott Twine, because we haven't got players who can shoot with any conviction. So this is the best way we can score.
Okay, Dave, and then Tom. You first, Dave.
And just to add to it, and maybe repeat what I already said, but Sykes was playing wing back. What was he doing there? Instinctively,
that's a number 10, isn't it? Where you are. That's it.
Exactly. Instinctively, he simply moved into a position and said, right, I'm not going to stay wide. I'm going to do something different. And sometimes you need more than just, this is where I am. And ultimately, because he's gone into that position, you could see in the 2 or 3 times we were moving around, he was looking for that run. He knew it was on. They couldn't react. And it's a goal made by everybody else from the little movements. But Sykes makes the goal from his positional play as well.
And
he's not there. No goal.
He let his emotion get into it. All right, Tom, the goal, and players doing things instinctively.
Yeah.
What's your view on both those points?
I think Dave hit the nail on the head there with his last comment about instinctive from Sykes. What you see is not a sticking to the system, a bit of dynamic movement, something that isn't predictable. What you would see typically, which I was shocked not to see, is Sykes hugging the right touchline. You'd almost have Earthy in the Sykes position and then no one doing the Earthy role. And we'd just go round and we'd reset, and then I can imagine it would end up at Campering at one point, then we'd go back the other way and it would just be this pendulum. But
the horseshoe.
The horseshoe of passing around. But what you do see is Sykes coming in, which takes the full-back away, and Sykes occupying the centre-back, and then he rolls the centre-back. And that doesn't happen enough. Because we play one up front, if a team plays a back 3, like Sheffield United do, you've got 1 against 3.
Yeah.
And what you need then is you need your wing backs to offer more offensively with inverted runs.
To pull them out or what?
Well, you move the centre backs around because that's where you create the space. What you don't want to do is wing backs be wing backs and playing 1 up front. You either ask that of your 10s in Earthy or Twine, whoever's playing, to occupy the centre backs, or you ask your wing backs to take them on, and then you drag them around. Because what you do, if a centre back is playing for the back 3 and a centre back tracks the wing back, what do? You'd shift the space, and then that massive gap between the middle centre back and wing back opens up. And we don't do that enough. And what we saw was fantastic from Sykes, really good, but Earthy as well. And you can tell that sort of move is what Earthy's used to in the Premier League. That sort of
he's
movement.
coming, and that's why he's come into his own a little bit in recent weeks. Because,
I don't know if he's come into his own.
No, because he wasn't great against Hull. Really,
no. But that is that ability to, a bit of intelligence, a bit of surroundings. And with Earthy on the ball there, He gets it. He lays it off to Williams and he makes a move that is unpredictable, that you learn in training, of running behind people, blindsided run. So he takes the midfielder out the game, and then the centre-back gets sucked, the wing-back gets sucked towards Earthy, and Earthy's vision is so good. It's so good. And it's an outside-the-foot bouncing pass, like Dave said, and Sykes just able to hit it with his laces. It's not a side foot. It's a bit of conviction in a shot.
Yeah. No.
And it was just like, as a
Naki would have been proud of that, wouldn't he?
Naki would have been proud.
Striker.
Your shout with Sykes up front is an interesting one, but I don't see. I'd love to see him play right wing, because what Sykes does do well, what Sykes does do well is a late box run, and that is what we don't do enough. You know, when we get the ball, if we're going to play these flat crosses into midfield, there's a good thing on Coventry before the game where they've got 5 that go forward. You've got Rodoni, you've got Ephraim Mason-Clark. They counter and they attack the box. We never attack the box. We're so conservative in how we play around the box.
But that's the conservatism and a style that, you know, somebody's put on the text feed here, that on a Leeds forum they were talking about Manning's got us playing some nice football. It's, you know, at the end of the day, if we miss the playoffs by 1 point, no matter what you say, it's been a successful season.
Yeah, of course.
And Manning's stock has gone up. I mean, the difference between this season and last season, after 37 games, is we've only got 7 more points, but that is, we've converted defeats into draws. Dave, let's come on to the final closing stages of the game before we look forward to Friday night. It was carnage, wasn't it? It all started, I think there was 6 minutes of time added on. And the first incident, I gave up writing in the end, because I was actually stood up in front of the television. It was that tense. But Tanner got a booking for taking out Hamer. And then there was the punch up. Take us through the last 2 minutes of action in a game that I thought was well refereed by the man. I can't remember his name now, but the referee, I thought he did well. And we got a bit of luck for a change.
I thought it was very, very strong refereeing. I think he made a bit of a mistake booking Dickey, because he was trying to be the peacemaker, but you can kind of give him the benefit of the doubt of maybe confused who he was booking. But he sensed what Sheffield United were trying to do. And just to bring it back to Twine for a moment, that's why we get frustrated when he falls on the floor all the time. Because when you're trying to do that, you're not going to get decisions. And the ref was so aware of they're trying to buy a penalty here. All 3 of them were not penalties. I think it was Pring on the first one. That was the riskiest one, but he falls too easily. And the second 2, they're looking for it. The ref is aware that they're looking for it. They're not penalties. The referee was strong and didn't give them. And he made all the correct decisions, in my opinion. And to be honest with you, we deserve to see the game out in that respect. And it would have been very, very harsh if any of them would have been given.
All right. Mark, what's your view on the referee's performance? And you know, some referees, you know, we always have this view, they don't like us. But, you know, do you agree with Dave that he refereed it very well and wasn't intimidated by the home crowd who were banked in front of him?
It's very easy to be intimidated by a home crowd for a team at the top of the table. City's mistake is Cooper's long goal kick. They let it drop. So Pring's, but Harrison Burrows, who scored the winner at Ashton Gate, is making a late run. And Pring does touch his shirt, but Burrows throws himself to the ground, so that's not a penalty. And then the melee is started by Jack Robinson, who grabs hold of Jason Knight and throws him to the ground in a sort of wrestler. You know, I think you'd be watching WWF rather than a football match. Then it all goes off, and Rob Dickey grabs and they all start, you know, handbags, and players get booked. The second one, there's a melee on the edge of the area, and I think firstly it brushes Joe Williams' hand. There's no way he can get it out of the way. He's got his arm down by his side. And I think then Kiefer Moore tries to go through, but the ball hits his arms. He falls to the floor. I think Brereton Diaz tries to take the ball through, and Mehmeti, his foot's not particularly high, but it's a block tackle. It's about knee high. It's not a particularly high one. And Brereton Diaz tries to get a penalty. So they're all in the face of the referee. But the referee stands tall, doesn't give a penalty. No. And I think you watch the summarisers on Sky, Michael Brown and Matt Smith. They both agreed that it wasn't a penalty. You know, and Matt Smith, former forward, on loan at City during the promotion season, had a terrific. And he, you know, as a striker, you think he would be in favour of a penalty. called it just right.
Good player for us that season as well. 4 goals in a culture. 4 goals. Gillingham away, I think.
Was it Gillingham?
Gillingham away.
Yeah, the EFL Cup.
Not going back too much, and I'll just touch you. Somebody said, never mind their penalties. What about the 2 we didn't get? The Gustav Hammer handball. It did control it.
No.
And Twine, I mean, he didn't do his usual, I've been shot. But because he does what he does, referee, he's going to not get some. He's going to get a reputation.
Oh, he's got a reputation.
He's got it already.
100%. No, that is the issue with Scott Twine. You know, you do it repetition. You will just get renown for throwing yourself on the floor. And the way he does it is so dramatic the whole time. It's like this,
yeah.
You know, there's a way of selling a penalty and there's a way of not selling the penalty.
Yeah.
And Scott Twine is an example of how to not sell a penalty, where there's minimal contact and then all 4 limbs seem to come out.
And you can imagine that happening on imagine that on May the 26th up at Wembley. I mean, he's going to have to be physically assaulted in the way that the Millwall goalkeeper assaulted Crystal Palace.
Another thing, David, Chris Wilder was brilliant in his post-match interview. He said they had been clutching at straws with those penalties, and he thought City got, we got a deserve point.
Fair play.
And they didn't. He said they didn't play well. He was completely honest in his assessment. So very good from Chris Wilder.
There we go. So last 9 games, 4 wins, 4 draws, 1 defeat. What's not to like? Dave, we roll on till Friday. Norwich were ahead and then were behind, then in front, and then lost to Sheffield Wednesday. They're in the last chance saloon against us for them. What are your thoughts coming up to Friday? Some good players on paper, but not doing it at the moment, are they?
Well, I think they were 2-0 up and just fell to pieces in the second half. I haven't seen any of the game, but you know, if you've got your eyes on sick, you can't have that. You can't do that. In terms of our lineup, I mean, there's an argument I think for bringing in Sykes over you simply because it's a wing back position. It's our most demanding position with Roberts on the other side. I would definitely start Armstrong after that miss. You need to start the next game because of what it will do to you mentally if you don't, unless there is a conversation of, look, we're resting you because of so many games. You need to feel like you've got the backing because you're playing well of, oh no, not one miss and I'm out the side. What's interesting for me is that on paper, Mehmeti is one of our most, goal producers basically. But yet we played some of our best football, most enjoyable football with the baller 4. Those 4 played very, very well together. And there is a strong argument to start with those 4 in the next game. And to see
what those 4 again, Dave? Sorry, just which 4 again?
The 4 that started, Williams, Knight, Twine and Bird. Because it was my most enjoyable game of the season. I really enjoyed what they were trying to do. And I think there's an argument to go with the same 4. But I do accept that the game being on Friday might mean there are changes.
What do you think, Mark?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think Borja Sainz was out for a while, wasn't he, with Norwich, and Josh Sargent. I think they really missed him. We missed his physicality and goals. The American striker. I'm very surprised at where they are. I thought they'd be featuring in the playoff mix. But I think we got to score an early goal against them. Our problem is at the moment we don't score when we're on top. We stay in games, and that's quite risky if you fall behind. So convert your superiority into goals early on. Attack them. They're obviously going to be low on confidence after losing. I mean, until they've gone a year without losing a game until we beat them in November, and they've really fallen off a bit. So go, take the game to them. We need to go ahead in the game and go on and win it because there's too much to lose. We really need to win all our home games and take points and beat QPR and Luton. Not so we don't have to rely on Leeds and Burnley away. It's going to be tough.
Well, yeah, and I think you're right there. I mean, look, we recovered one of the points of the two that we dropped against Hull. That's one way of looking at it. Apologies to the people who've been deafened by me coughing. It is these new mics that we've got as well. Apologies for that. And Tom, I'm not contagious or anything like that, so you haven't got to wear a mask. And sorry if a couple of you have soiled your bed sheets or your trousers by the big loud coughing that's going on in the background. Dave, we're being lucky, sort of, with injuries at the moment. Really, is it only McCrory and McNally out now that you would classify as first teamers?
I believe so. I think in terms of the team itself, I mean, the last three games. I mean, I know against Hull it was frustrating, but I wouldn't say it was a poor performance. Against Millwall, it was a dogged performance, and yesterday it was an enjoyable attacking type of performance. You know, they're showing there's variety to that side. My concern is still the outlets, and as an example, the Roberts side on the left. Where's the attacking coming from there going forward? Teams that sit in more, teams that try and say, come on, then break us down. My concern going forward is, will we score enough goals? And I'm just not sure we will to get over the line. But right now, I'm very positive about it because I think that as a side, we're playing very, very well.
Tom, 9 games to go. Last season, the last 9 games were 4 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats. If we repeated that, that would put us on 69. I think that's a point short. For me, the critical game. Well, let's look at it another way. If we'd have beaten Hull last night, would have been a free hit, wouldn't it? As Sheffield United, yeah. We got a point up there, but then we didn't beat Hull. If we beat Norwich at home, it becomes a free hit at Burnley, really, doesn't it? If we beat them.
Yeah,
it'd be great if we can go undefeated, but
you'd have to
where the defeat's going to come. For me, I think we then follow with 2 home games, Watford and West Brom.
Have to win both.
We do, but West Brom is a critical one because if we beat West Brom and then our results and theirs mirror each other, we jump them come what may. So that's the critical one there.
Yeah.
Or Dave, is it, and Mark, is it that we've now got 9 cup finals between now and the end of the season? You first, Dave.
It depends how you term it free hit. You know, I think you can go to Burnley and say, look, this is an opportunity for us in a way like we did yesterday. Who really thought that we were going to play like that yesterday? Who really thought that we would be the better of the two? In a way, we took the mentality of a free hit to make something happen. Yes, we're going to lose games along the way, but you want to make sure that every single side that we play knows that, we were in a game yesterday. Look at how complimentary Wilder was yesterday. The Sheffield United fans that watched it. That's what you want. You won't win every game, but pick up points along the way and see where it takes you, one game at a time.
All right. Mark, your comments on that.
I think if you look at our limitations up front, because of the expectation on Naki Wells, because Sinclair doesn't score goals, we're punching above our weight. So if you look for a comparison, we're a bit like a Huddersfield were in the 2016-17 season. So we try to stay in games. We're getting results. So the midfielders, Twine, Mehmeti, Bird's only got 1 this season. Sykes need to contribute the goals because you can't expect them to come from the front pair. So I think we've just got to be more aggressive. We've got nothing to lose at all. Other sides with bigger wage bills like West Brom and Coventry, who've got the momentum, although they got to keep winning because they come from 17th place to the top 6. That's a huge leap, but they've got to keep winning. Those teams, and even Middlesbrough, you think with their wage bill and the way they trade would be far more effective. So we're punching above our weight, but we've got nothing to lose, being more aggressive in those final 9 games. And I think we play better against the better sides because they won't sit in. So we got a chance, but I think the minimum we need is 5 wins, 2 draws and 2 defeats. I think that 71 might be enough. 72 would definitely be enough.
Yeah, and 70 won't be. 69 certainly won't be. We've got to wrap up. I just got to pick up Peter Thompson. I love Tubby. He's like the voice of reason, and Mother Teresa.
2 of us.
We need Tubby merchandise immediately. Don't know whether that's Tubby Mark or Tubby Dave. Sorry, final point from
I think, you know, Sinclair's got to pick up 1 goal in 22 games now is not
Not
it's
good
not
enough.
play it's not,
Not good enough. All right, we're done. Sorry, there was a clap there. I hope that's not deafened everybody.
So I thought I was somebody in my loft, David.
Oh dear. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Right. 8 o'clock kickoff on Friday night. We'll be doing our Norwich City review on Saturday morning at 9. But for those of you that have interrupted your working day to listen, watch while we've been recording it live, thank you for listening, and be deafened as well. And for those that you who listen to it on Spotify when you're doing whatever you do, hope you enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed producing it. But for now, have a good week, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.
Ciao.